What's up, y'all? We got a bunch of new stuff dropping from the JJK exhibition going on in Japan right now. And if you're not familiar, I've made a couple videos talking about it. Check out those first, but it's essentially a pop-up museum featuring all things JJK. Tons of sketches, tons of behind-the-scenes Q&As, the works. And specifically, we just got this sketch of Gojo's iconic "Nah, I'd win" moment. Is beautiful, hanging in the Louvre. Also, I forgot to mention, if you are not caught up on the manga, then beware, because nah, I'd spoil. Alright, so first of all, there are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of sketches in this exhibit, and the only way to see all of them is to probably go and see it yourself. So we will get high quality images of some of these, like the Gojo one I just showed, so I'll keep an eye out for those, and the cool ones I will try to show you guys, but they're kind of few and far between right now. Most things are still potato quality. For example, we have this, and don't give yourself a headache trying to stare at it, but this is Gege's new illustration of Yuji in celebration of the latest popularity poll. There is also a new image of Gojo and Megami as well, but as you can see, we don't have any good versions of these yet. As soon as those come out, I will definitely be talking about them. But so, in addition to the Nah, I'd win sketch I showed earlier, the other high quality sketches we've gotten so far are this one of Gojo and Sukuna's fight, which is really cool, and then brace yourselves for this next one. Because Gege did my man dirty on this Gojo sketch. Because I mean, seriously, when being cut in half is the least of your problems, you got issues. And then in addition to the new sketches, we continue to have more behind the scenes information coming out, and this will probably continue to come out piece by piece, but I know some people are trying to get their hands on like a comprehensive list of all of the Q&A that Gege did, so if that happens, we'll probably do a full video covering all of it. But for now, we have this from Lightning, who again is a trusted translator in the space. But Lightning says the original inspiration for the color spread of Maki and Mai holding hands, this one right here, was this photo of Downtown, and Downtown is a Japanese comedy duo where they are skipping through a flower field. And Gege is actually apparently like a Japanese comedy buff, so this makes a lot of sense, especially after the Takaba and Kenjaku fight. We also got some really interesting information on what Utahime's curse technique was originally going to be, and she was basically going to carry around this mini karaoke kit, and anytime she wanted to use it, she would have to perform a song with basically a scoreboard appearing underneath her, and then as long as she was successful, the curse technique would complete, and I assume it would do the same thing it does now, which is essentially buff those around her. And to follow up on this, apparently Gege had this idea because he was inspired by JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and specifically the villain Pucci. Now, I haven't seen that much of JJBA, so I can't speak to this myself. I'm not really sure what this villain did, but the idea was for Utahime, again, to basically have this karaoke-esque curse technique. So I'm assuming he did something similar, but y'all let me know down in the comments. Gege does say that he regrets not doing this, and I'm kind of with him because that sounds like a really fun idea. Also, Gege revealed that in a previous version of JJK, where Nanami was a bad guy and a curse user, he was going to have a catchphrase whenever he killed a non-sorcerer. That phrase was going to be, "and we're finished," which is basically when like a kid wins a video game, that would be something they say, or when they leave a video game. He also commented that Kirara's curse technique was probably a little too elaborate. And Lightning goes on to explain here that that comment was made in a similar fashion as to his rules additions for the culling game. Gege initially wanted to incorporate adding rules in the middle of battle, thinking it would be fun for a player to do that and turn the tides. He ended up moving away from these things, and we talked a little bit about this in my previous exhibition videos, where Gege's one of his big regrets was not making the culling game more of like a typical shonen tournament arc. Gege also made a couple of comments about these volume covers, saying that for volume 13, Kusakabe was on the cover because he wanted to explore New Shadow style Binding Vow in a situation where Kusakabe would have to choose between that Binding Vow or his students. And also in volume 21, Gege initially had another idea for the cover, but then decided against it once he actually started to try and pull it off. So then he went with this Kashimo pose. And then finally, we also have a couple of questions about Jogo, and here you can see some iconic sketches of his moment with Sukuna during Shibuya. So first, Gege was basically asked for his impressions of this moment during Shibuya, where first Sukuna and Jogo fought, and then Sukuna and Maharaga fought. And so Gege's answer here, and I'm going to kind of try to parse the translation myself, but he essentially says he knew this was going to be a lot of fun, Sukuna kind of coming out and going crazy. So the first thing he wanted to figure out is where in Shibuya it would happen. And Gege talked about this in some of the previous questions I've covered in earlier videos, but he was really concerned with the geography. Like he did scouting locations all over Shibuya to figure out where he wanted certain battles to take place. So that was important to him. Where could Sukuna go wild that would be the most interesting? And after he figured out the where, he had to figure out the when, and that's when the Jogo things came into play, because he had to time it with the Dagon fight, and then also Jogo going up against Sukuna himself, slot that in somewhere that it would make sense before the Maharaga thing happens. And so kind of following up on this question, Gege was asked, well, Jogo also fought Gojo, so is it crazy to guess that you were indirectly thinking about comparing the strength between Gojo and Sukuna by basically showing how they matched up against Jogo? And Gege says, that wasn't my intention. It was almost just a process of elimination, since the only one that could match Sukuna was around Jogo's level. But I didn't want to draw out the serialization after the Shibuya incident, so that's why I had Itadori eat 10 fingers and just basically straight up dominate him. So that's interesting. And I think this is saying that pre-10 fingers, Jogo was on Sukuna's level, because, I mean, he clearly wasn't afterwards. So power scalers, go nuts. And then I mentioned it in a previous video, but another one of Gege's comments from this exhibition was that Megami was originally going to be the main character of the series. And apparently, and I don't have the full story yet, but apparently Chapter 1 of Megami Kaisen is on display at this exhibit. So if you guys are interested, I can dive in and make a video going over what Chapter 1 of Megami Kaisen was all about. So let me know if that's something you guys would want to see. And then we've actually got one more Gege Q&A that's been translated, where he was asked, what was the main point of Gojo's 200% purple? Gege says, initially, it would seem odd to me to have the opponents face off at the time when the battle starts, as the basic idea of this battle is that there are no rules here, and it itself inherently, the hollow purple, lays down the point about dishonesty. So this is kind of wonky, so let me translate the translation. I believe what Gege is saying is that in this battle between Gojo and Sukuna, this is not an honorable 1v1, right? This is not like two professional boxers going into the ring, tapping gloves, and waiting for the gong to sound. There are no holds barred, no rules, anything goes, right? So to illustrate that point, instead of having them have like the typical shonen face-off before they, dart towards each other, instead he just has Gojo launch a, sneak attack 200% amped purple at Sukuna to let him know the gauntlet has been thrown and you're the challenger here. So the word dishonesty is, I think, a little weird translation. It's basically just showing that, anything goes in this fight, and that's how Gege wanted to showcase that. Anyways, y'all, that's all me and Old Man Gojo got for you today. As more information comes out, I, of course, will keep you updated, and hopefully we do get that comprehensive Q&A at some point, because I would love to dive straight into it. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.